The green light flashed. Access granted. But before anyone could react, the senior purser grabbed the teenager by the arm and ripped her out of seat 1A, dragging her past stunned passengers toward the back of the plane. Whispers spread. Phones rose. A 19-year-old girl was being publicly humiliated for daring to sit where she didn't belong. Donna believed she was protecting first class. She believed clothes defined worth. She believed power lived in her uniform. What she didn't know, what the girl in the hoodie didn't even say out loud, was that her father controlled the leases on half the fleet. And while the teen was shoved beside the toilets in row 54, a $60 million private jet was already racing across the Atlantic. This flight wouldn't end at the gate. It would end in a reckoning. The air inside John F. Kennedy International Airport's Terminal 4 was thick with the scent of expensive cologne and the low hum of high-stakes anxiety. It was 6:00 p.m. On a Friday, the golden hour for the business elite flying the red-eye to London Heathrow. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the tarmac was a rainy grey slate, punctuated by the flashing beacons of massive aircraft pushing back for departure. At Gate B32, the prestigious Royal Atlantic Flight 880 to London was beginning to board. This wasn't just a flight, it was a floating palace. The Boeing 777-300ER had been retrofitted with the airline's newest sovereign-class suites, enclosed private rooms with sliding doors, lie-flat double beds, and a personalized chef service. A ticket here cost upwards of $18,000 one way. Standing at the entrance of the jet bridge was Donna Miller. Donna had been flying for 25 years. Her uniform was impeccable, her scarf tied with a mathematical precision that suggested a woman who allowed zero margin for error in her life. She was the senior purser, the onboard manager, and she viewed the first-class cabin as her personal living room. She decided who was comfortable and who was merely tolerated. Donna checked her manifest on the tablet. The cabin was full of the usual suspects: a tech CEO in 2A, a famous British playwright in 1K, and the wife of a Saudi diplomat in 2K. But 1A, the premier suite, was listed simply as M. Sterling. Probably some investment banker's brat Donna muttered to her junior colleague Jessica, "Let's hope he doesn't ask for champagne before takeoff. I have a headache." The line moved forward. A sea of bespoke suits and Remo carry-ons flowed past, and then the flow stopped. Standing before Donna was a girl who looked like she had just wandered in from a skate park in Brooklyn. She wore an oversized vintage grey hoodie that swallowed her frame loose-fitting cargo pants and beat-up sneakers. Her hair was pulled back in chaotic braids and massive noise-cancelling headphones rested around her neck. She was black young, maybe 19, and looked completely unbothered by the opulence around her. She held out her phone. The screen displayed the Royal Atlantic Boarding Pass app. Donna didn't scan it. She didn't even look at the phone. She looked at the girl's sneakers, then up to her face, her lip curling slightly. "Miss," Donna said, her voice dripping with that sickeningly sweet tone that barely masked the hostility underneath. "This is the line for sovereign class. Economy boarding is in Zone 4. You need to wait until your zone is called." The girl, Flora, didn't flinch. She chewed her gums slowly, her eyes tired. She had been up for 48 hours studying for finals at Columbia University and was flying to London to surprise her father for his birthday. "I know," Flora said, her voice soft but steady. "I'm in Zone 1. She thrust the phone forward again. Donna let out a sharp, incredulous laugh. She snatched the phone from Flora's hand, not to scan it, but to inspect it as if looking for the Photoshop pixels. She stared at the screen. Passenger Sterling Flora, Seat 1, a status invitation only. The invitation on status was a tier above platinum. It was reserved for heads of state and the airline's biggest investors. It was a status Donna had seen maybe 3 times in her entire career. "Where did you get this?" Donna demanded, looking up. The sweetness was gone now. "I downloaded the app." Flora said, confused. "Can I have my phone back? People are waiting." "Don't get smart with me," Donna snapped. She turned to Jessica. "Call the gate agent. Tell them we have a ticketing error. A fraudulent duplicate." Fraudulent Flora's eyebrows shot up. "Excuse me?" That ticket was bought and paid for. By whom? Donna challenged, leaning over the podium. Because I know how much that seat costs, honey. And I know what people who sit in that seat look like. They don't look like this. She gestured vaguely at Flora's entire existence. The line behind them was growing restless. A man in a Brian suit cleared his throat loudly. Is there a problem we'd like to board? Just a moment, sir. Donna beamed at him, clear his throat, then turned back to Flora, her face hardening into stone. You are holding up the flight. I am not letting you into the sovereign cabin with a hacked boarding pass. You have two choices. You can step aside and let security sort this out, which will mean you miss the flight and likely go to jail. Or I can do you a massive favor and find you a seat where you actually belong. Flora took a deep breath. She reached for her phone, her thumb hovering over a contact named Dad. But she hesitated. Her father had always told her, Flora, you don't need me to fight your battles. You have the truth on your side. Use your dignity first. She didn't want to be the girl who called her daddy to fix a mean lady at the airport. She wanted to handle this. Check the system again, Flora said firmly. Scan the code. If it turns, clears throat red, I'll walk away. If it turns green, you let me board. Donna glared at her. She grabbed the scanner gun and aimed it at the phone screen, fully expecting the angry buzz of a rejection. Beep. A bright, cheerful green light flashed on the console. Access granted. The silence between them was deafening. Jessica, the junior flight attendant, looked at Donna nervously. Donna, it's valid. We have to let her on. Donna's face went purple. She felt humiliated. The man in the Brian suit was watching. Her authority was being challenged by a teenager in a hoodie. If she let this girl walk past her now, she would lose face. Her pride was a dangerous thing, and it had just taken the wheel. The machine is glitching. Where? Donna lied. Her voice was ice. I've seen this before with stolen credit card bookings. The system doesn't catch it until wheels up. She looked Flora dead in the eye. I am the senior purser of this vessel. My word is final. I am deeming you a security risk for potential fraud. I will not have you in my first-class cabin disturbing my high-value guests. Donna typed furiously on the terminal, overriding the seat assignment. The printer word. She ripped out a paper boarding pass. Row 54, seat E, middle seat, back of the plane. Take it or get off my flight. Flora looked at the paper ticket. Then she looked at Donna. For a second, Flora's eyes flashed with a fire that would have terrified a smarter woman. But Donna wasn't smart. She was just powerful in her tiny kingdom. Flora didn't scream. She didn't shout. She slowly took the paper ticket. You're making a mistake, Flora said quietly. A really big one. The only mistake, Donna sneered, pointing down the jet bridge, was you thinking you could trick me. Move. Flora adjusted her backpack, lowered her head, and walked past the champagne, past the lie-flat beds, and into the long, dark tunnel toward economy. Donna adjusted her scarf, smiled at the man in the suit, and said, So sorry for the delay, sir. Just keeping the riff-raff out. Welcome aboard. The walk to row 54 was a gauntlet. Usually when you fly sovereign class, you turn left. You enter a sanctuary of silence and fresh orchids. Flora had turned right. She walked down the narrow aisle of the business class cabin where passengers were already sipping mimosas. She passed through premium economy. Finally, she hit the wall of noise that was main cabin economy. It was chaotic. People were shoving oversized bags into overhead bins. Babies were already crying, and the air was stiflingly warm. Flora kept her head down, clutching the crumpled paper ticket Donna had shoved into her hand. She reached row 54. It was the second to last row of the Boeing 77. The seats didn't recline fully because of the lavatory wall behind them. 54E was a middle seat wedged between a large man who was already asleep and snoring and a woman with a cat carrier on her lap. Excuse me, Flora whispered. The woman huffed, clutching the cat carrier tighter. You're late. We're all settled. I know. I'm sorry. Flora squeezed into the seat. There was no room for her legs. Her knees pressed firmly into the hard plastic of the seat in front of her. The smell of the lavatory chemical cleaner wafted through the air every time the door opened, which was constantly. She sat there, her heart pounding against her ribs. Humiliation burned in her throat like acid. It wasn't about the seat Flora had flown economy plenty of times with her school friends. It was the way it happened. The public undressing of her character. The assumption that she was a criminal because of how she looked. She pulled out her phone. The signal was fading as the doors were closed to Dad. "Hey, on the flight slide issue." The flight attendant kicked me out of my seat. Said I was a fraud. "I'm in 54E. Don't worry, I'll just sleep. See you in London." She hit send. The message hung on sending for a terrifying second before the delivered check mark appeared. Up in the front galley, Donna was popping a bottle of Dom Perrin. "Did you see her face?" Donna laughed to Jessica, pouring the golden liquid into a crystal flute. "Thought she could intimidate me. Scan it again, please. I know a scammer when I see one." Clear's throat. Jessica looked uneasy. She was new, only 6 months on the job. Donna? What if she's telling the truth? The ticket scanned green. If she complains, who is she going to complain to? Donna waved a hand dismissively. "Customer service. I'll file a report saying she was belligerent and refused to follow crew instructions. It's her word against mine. And I have 25 years of service medals. The airline backs the crew always." Donna took a sip of the champagne, technically against regulation, but she made the rules here. Besides, Donna smirked, checking her reflection in the metal coffee pot. She's in 54E. No Wi-Fi signal back there. By the time she lands and tries to send an email, I'll have already filed the incident report. She's nobody. Just a kid trying to flex. The intercom chimed. Cabin crew armed doors and cross-check. The massive engines of the 7007 roared to life. The plane began its taxi. Back in 54E. Flora closed her eyes. She felt the vibration of the plane under her feet. She tried to find a comfortable position, but the man next to her shifted his elbow, digging sharply into her ribs. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A reply from Dad. "She did what Flora." "Are you safe?" Flora typed back quickly, her thumbs flying. "I'm fine, just embarrassed. She humiliated me, Dad. In front of everyone. She said I didn't look like I belonged." 3 dots danced on the screen. The response came instantly. From Dad, "Stay calm. Do not engage with her. I am making a call. I'll meet you at the gate." Flora sighed. Her dad was overprotective. He probably meant he'd call customer service and get her some miles as an apology. She put the phone in airplane mode as the plane accelerated down the runway. What Flora didn't know, what Donna couldn't possibly imagine, was that Dad wasn't calling customer service. Marcus Sterling was currently sitting in the boardroom of the Sterling Aviation Group in downtown Manhattan. He was a man who had started as an aircraft mechanic and built an empire that leased jets to major airlines including Royal Atlantic. He didn't just have miles. He held the leases on half the fleet. When he read Flora's text, the color drained from his face, replaced by a cold, hard fury. He stood up in the middle of a merger meeting. "Gentlemen," Marcus said, his voice dropping an octave, "we are pausing this deal." Marcus, his CFO, asked, startled. "Is everything all right?" "No," Marcus said, buttoning his suit jacket. "Someone just mistook my daughter for a criminal on one of my planes. I need to go to London." "But the flight takes 7 hours," the CFO stammered. "You can't catch her." Marcus looked at his watch. It was a Patek Philippe worth more than Donna's annual salary. "I'm not taking a commercial flight," Marcus said, walking to the door. "Prepare the G700 and call the tower at Heathrow. Tell them Sterling is incoming and I want a priority block on the taxiway." "Block the taxiway, Marcus. That's highly irregular. The fines—" Marcus turned back, his eyes blazing. "I don't care about the fines. I want that plane stopped on the tarmac before they can even open the doors. I want to look that flight attendant in the eye before she has the chance to hide." He stormed out. High above the Atlantic, Donna Miller was serving warm nuts to the man in 1A Flora's empty seat, which she had graciously upgraded the handsome man in the Bion suit into. "Much better view from here, isn't it?" Donna flirted. "Exceptional." The man smiled. Shame about that girl, though. Oh, don't worry about her. Donna chuckled, topping off his glass. She's learning a valuable lesson about knowing her place. Donna walked back to the galley, feeling like the queen of the sky. She had no idea that at 45,000 FT flying Mach 0.925 behind them, a Gulfstream G700 was cutting through the stratosphere like a vengeful arrow carrying a father who was about to turn her lesson upside down. 3 hours into the flight over the dark, churning Atlantic, the atmosphere inside the Boeing 777 was a study in contrasts. In the sovereign first-class cabin, the mood was one of hushed, golden opulence. The cabin lights had been dimmed to a soothing twilight blue. The air smelled of warmed sourdough and expensive moisturizer. Donna Miller was in her element. She moved through the cabin with the grace of a swan, though her intentions were far more predatory. She was currently attending to Mr. Julian Vance, the man she had moved into Suite 1A. Julian was a hedge fund manager from Connecticut who wore his wealth like a weapon. He had been booked in business class, but Donna's intervention with Flora had opened up the crown jewel of the plane, and she had bestowed it upon him like a feudal lord granting land. Another glass of the Krug 2008, Mr. Vance Donner purred, hovering over his lie-flat pod. Julian looked up from his iPad where he was pretending to read a market report. "You read my mind, Donna. Service on this flight is exceptional today. Usually they let just anyone up here." Donna let out a conspiratorial laugh as she poured the champagne. "We try to maintain standards, sir. Sometimes the gate agents get lazy and let the wrong demographic slip through. It's my job to filter the cabin. We want our high-value guests to feel secure." "Well, I appreciate it," Julian said, taking the flute. "That girl, the one in the hoodie, she looked like trouble. Probably a stolen credit card or a lottery winner. Ruins the ambience." "Exactly." Donna nodded, feeling validated. "She's safely in the back. I doubt we'll hear a peep from her." Donna returned to the galley feeling a swell of triumph. She checked her reflection again. She was the gatekeeper. She had protected the sanctity of sovereign class. Meanwhile, 400 FT behind them, the reality in row 54 was starkly different. The cabin lights were off, but sleep was impossible. The air was dry and recycled, carrying the heavy scent of 200 people exhaling in close quarters. Flora Sterling was wide awake. Her legs were cramping. The man next to her, the snorer, had expanded into her personal space, his arm effectively pinning her against the armrest. Every 20 minutes, the lavatory flush roared like a jet engine next to her ear, followed by the slam of the biffled door. But Flora wasn't complaining. She wasn't even thinking about her discomfort. She was currently holding a baby. The woman in the window seat, the one with the cat carrier, was a young mother named Elena. She was exhausted, traveling alone with an infant who had been screaming for an hour due to ear pressure. The passengers in the surrounding rows were sighing loudly, casting angry glares at the young mother. Flora had seen Elena's hands shaking. Without a word, Flora had offered to take the baby. "You don't mind," Elena had whispered, tears in her eyes. "I love kids. My dad used to take me flying all the time. I know the ear-popping trick." Flora smiled. Now Flora was gently rocking the baby, rubbing his back in a rhythmic circle. The baby had finally fallen asleep on Flora's shoulder, drooling onto her vintage hoodie. Suddenly, a flashlight beam cut through the darkness, blinding Flora. She squinted up. It was Donna. Donna had come back on a patrol, ostensibly to check for safety compliance, but really to gloat. She wanted to see the girl miserable. She wanted to see the regret. "What is going on here?" Donna whispered harshly, the beam of the flashlight fixed on Flora's face. "He was crying," Flora whispered back. "I'm just helping." "That is not your baby," Donna snapped, "and you are blocking the aisle access. If we hit turbulence, that child becomes a projectile. Give him back to the mother now." "He's asleep," Flora pleaded softly. "If I move him, he'll scream again. The seatbelt sign is off. I'm holding him tight." "I don't care," Donna hissed. "Regulations state infants must be with their guardians or in a bassinet. You are creating a liability. Hand the child back." "Elena." The mother woke up with a start, terrified by the flashlight. "I'm sorry." I'm sorry, she stammered, reaching for her son. The transfer was clumsy. The baby woke up and immediately began to wail a piercing shriek that cut through the silent cabin. Groans erupted from rows 52 through 55. "Oh, come on, someone," Clear's throat shouted. Donna smirked. "See what you did? You've disturbed the entire cabin. Keep your noise down or I'll have the captain issue a warning." She leaned in close to Flora, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "You see, this is why you don't belong in the front. You don't know the rules. You think you can just do whatever you want. Sit still, be quiet, and learn your place." Donna clicked the flashlight off and strutted away, leaving Flora sitting in the dark, the baby screaming. Next to her, her heart pounding with a mixture of rage and sorrow. Flora reached for her phone again. She wanted to text her dad to tell him it was getting worse, but the Wi-Fi icon was grayed out. Donna had likely disabled the complimentary Wi-Fi for seat 54E from the purser's control panel, a petty vindictive move that was technically possible on the newer systems. Flora took a deep breath. Dignity, she reminded herself. Just 4 more hours. She didn't know that 4 hours was exactly what the man in the Gulfstream G700 was counting down, at $49,000 FT, far above the commercial traffic lanes. The sky is a different color, a deep bruised purple that fades into the black of space. The Gulfstream G700 tail number N11STR was tearing through this rarefied air at Mach 0.925, just shy of the sound barrier. It was one of the fastest private jets in existence. A $75 million masterpiece of engineering. Inside the cabin, there was no champagne being poured. There was no relaxation. The interior, usually a place of leisure with its cream leather dian and kinstone finishes, had been transformed into a war room. Marcus Sterling sat at the conference table, his jacket-off sleeves rolled up. He was staring at a large monitor mounted on the bulkhead, which displayed a real-time tracking map. A red dot represented Royal Atlantic Flight 880. A green dot represented his Gulf Stream. The green dot was gaining. "Time to intercept," Marcus barked, not looking away from the screen. His personal assistant David was strapped into the seat across from him, holding a satellite phone. "Pilots say we will land at Heathrow approximately 14 minutes before Flight 880 touches down. It's going to be tight, sir. We have to factor in the approach pattern." "I don't care about the pattern," Marcus said, his voice like grinding gravel. "Get me the director of operations at Heathrow." Now David dialed. A moment later, he handed the heavy receiver to Marcus. "This is Sterling." The voice on the other end was British-clipped and nervous. It was Nigel Halloway, the night operations director at Heathrow, a man who usually dealt with lost luggage and union disputes. Not angry American billionaires who owned half the planes on his tarmac. Mr. Sterling, Nigel said, "We received your request, sir. You have to understand. Blocking a taxiway, it's unprecedented. It will cause a cascade of delays. The Civil Aviation Authority will have my head." "Nigel," Marcus said calmly, "do you know who signed the lease on the new Terminal 5 baggage system last month?" Silence. "That was my holding company," Marcus continued. "Do you know who supplies the maintenance contracts for the Royal Atlantic Fleet that makes up 40% of your traffic?" "You do," Sir Nigel whispered. "Correct. Now, I am not asking you to crash a plane. I am asking you to direct Flight 880 to a remote stand 42. And I want my jet cleared to park directly in front of the nose gear of that Boeing once it stops. I want a stair car ready. And I want airport police on standby. Not to arrest the passenger, but to detain the crew." Detain the crew. Nigel sounded horrified. On what charges? Gross misconduct, discrimination, and theft of service. Marcus said that crew member stole a seat worth $18,000 from a paying customer and gave it to a friend. That is corporate theft. I'm pressing charges. I see," Nigel stammered. "If it's a criminal matter, we can have authorities present. I will clear stand 42. We will route the 77 there immediately upon landing." "Good. And Nigel, yes, Mr. Nigel Sterling. Make sure the jet bridge is not attached. I want everyone to stay on that plane until I board." Marcus handed the phone back to David. He looked out the oval window. The sun was beginning to rise over the curvature of the earth, painting the horizon in blood orange. He wasn't doing this just for Flora. He was doing this because he had grown up poor. He had fought his way up from a mechanic's pit to the boardroom. He knew exactly what Donna Miller saw when she looked at his daughter. She didn't see a person. She saw a stereotype. And Donna Miller was about to learn that stereotypes could be very, very expensive. Back on Flight 880, the mood in the cockpit was confused. Captain James Reynolds tapped his headset. Heathrow approach. Say again, Royal Atlantic 880. Royal Atlantic 880. Change of plan. The controller's voice crackled. You are being diverted to remote stand 42. Do not proceed to Terminal 3. You are to hold position on the apron upon arrival. We have a VIP movement blocking the gate. Captain Reynolds frowned. VIP movement at 700 AM. Who the hell is flying in? He keyed the mic. Copy tower stand 42. Is this for a head of state? Something like that. 880. Just follow the follow me car, you'll see. Reynolds turned to his first officer. Weird. Better let the cabin crew know we might be delayed getting off. The passengers are going to be pissed. He picked up the interphone. Ding. In the galley, Donna answered. Flight deck. Donna, bad news. The captain said we're being diverted to a remote stand. Some VIP aircraft is blocking the terminal. We'll have to bust the passengers to the terminal. It's going to add 30 minutes. Donna rolled her eyes. But then a thought occurred to her. VIP aircraft blocking the terminal. She looked at the manifest. She looked at seat 1A, where Mr. Julian Vance was sleeping. Of course, she thought. Mr. Vance, he was a hedge fund manager. Maybe he was more important than she realized. Maybe this VIP movement was for him. Maybe a private transfer had been arranged. If she played this right, if she expedited his exit, she could get a massive commendation. Maybe a tip. Understood, Captain Donna said, her voice brightening. I'll prepare the cabin. We'll make sure the VIPs get off first. She hung up and smiled. Fate was smiling on her. She had kicked the trash to the back, treated the king like a king, and now the red carpet was being rolled out. She walked into the sovereign cabin and gently shook Julian Vance's shoulder. Mr. Vance, she whispered, good news. We're getting a special arrival. I believe your private transport is waiting. Julian woke up groggy and confused. What? Oh, right. Excellent. He had no idea what she was talking about, but his ego accepted the compliment instantly. Donna beamed. She had no idea that the VIP movement was indeed for a sterling, just not the one she was serving, and the private transport wasn't a limo. It was a reckoning. The wheels of the Gulfstream G700 kissed the tarmac of Heathrow at 6:45 AM. The thrust reversers roared. The jet slowed down but didn't taxi to the general aviation terminal. Instead, under the confused gazes of ground handlers, the sleek white jet turned onto the main apron, rolling directly toward the heavy commercial stands. It came to a halt right in the middle of the taxiway, leading to stand 42, angling its body, so that nothing, not a bus, not a fuel truck, and certainly not a Boeing 72-7 could get past. The door of the Gulfstream opened. The stairs unfolded. Marcus Sterling stepped out. He buttoned his suit jacket against the chill of the London morning. He stood on the tarmac, arms crossed, watching the sky. 2 minutes later, the massive silhouette of Royal Atlantic Flight 880 broke through the low clouds. It touched down, smoke puffing from its tires. It slowed, turned, and began the long taxi towards stand 42. From the cockpit, Captain Reynolds saw it. What in the world? Reynolds squinted. Is that a G700 parked on the taxiway? It's blocking our line. He brought the massive 737 to a halt, 50 YD from the Gulfstream. The engines wind down. Tower 880, we are blocked by a private jet. Please advise. 880 hold position, the tower replied. Engines off. Remain on board. Inside the cabin, the seatbelt sign flicked off. Donna Miller clapped her hands. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to London. Please remain seated while we handle a special VIP protocol. She rushed to the door, ready to open it, and greet the entourage she assumed was coming for Mr. Vance. She peered through the porthole window. She saw the sleek jet. She saw the black SUVs of the airport police surrounding it. And she saw a lone man standing on the tarmac, staring up at the cockpit. She squinted. The man looked familiar. He looked familiar in the way her face on the cover of Forbes magazine looks familiar. And then her stomach dropped. She recognized him not from a magazine, but from the family photo lock screen on the phone of the teenage girl she had banished to row 54. "Oh no," Donna whispered, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh God, no." The silence on the tarmac was heavy, broken only by the whine of the cooling turbines. Inside the Royal Atlantic 77, the confusion was palpable. The passengers in first class were craning their necks. Julian Vance in seat 1A was pining, adjusting his tie, convinced the flashing lights outside were his personal escort through customs. "Must be a new concierge service," Julian remarked loudly to the cabin. About time they treated Diamond members properly. Donna Miller stood by the L1 door, her heart hammering a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She smoothed her skirt, took a deep breath, and prepared her VIP smile. But her hands were trembling. That face on the tarmac. It couldn't be. It was just a coincidence. Then the mobile stairs rumbled up to the aircraft door. There was a heavy thud as they connected. Donna unlocked the door mechanism. She swung the heavy door open, ready to greet a ground agent. Instead, she found herself face to chest with Marcus Sterling. Up close, he was terrifying. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't red-faced. He was perfectly, lethally calm. He wore a navy bespoke suit that cost more than Donna's car, but he wore it with the rough hue intensity of a man who could strip an engine block with his bare hands. Behind him stood 2 British airport police officers, their faces grim. "Good. Good morning, sir," Donna stammered, her voice cracking. "Welcome to Royal Atlantic. I'm afraid we aren't quite ready for deplaning." Marcus didn't even look at her. He stepped onto the plane, forcing her to step back or be trampled. The police officers followed him, stopping just inside the galley. "I am not a passenger," Marcus said, his voice low and resonating through the small space. "And you aren't deplaning anyone yet." He stopped in the center of the galley, his eyes scanning the space like a predator. He looked at the champagne bottle on the counter, the half-empty Dom Perignon that shouldn't have been opened on the ground. He looked at the manifest tablet lying on the counter. Then he looked at Donna. "My name," he said, enunciating every syllable, "is Marcus Sterling. I am the CEO of Sterling Aviation." Clear's throat. "I own the lease on this aircraft. I own the engines that powered you here. And most importantly, I am the father of the teenage girl you decided to hold hostage in row 54. The blood drained from Donna's face so fast she looked like a ghost. Her knees actually buckled and she had to grab the galley counter for support. "Mr. Sterling," she gasped. I didn't know. There was a misunderstanding. She, the system. The system!" Marcus interrupted. He walked past her into the first-class cabin. The passengers went silent. Marcus stopped at seat 1A. Julian Vance was holding his glass of champagne, looking annoyed at the intrusion. "Excuse me, who are you? I'm waiting for my transport." Marcus looked down at Julian with a look of absolute disgust. "You're sitting in a stolen seat," Marcus said. "Get up." "Excuse me," Julian sputtered, laughing nervously. "I was upgraded by the purser. I'm a loyal customer." "You are an accessory to theft," Marcus said. He turned to the police officers. "Officers, this man is in possession of a seat valued at $18,000 that belongs to Flora Sterling. He did not pay for it. He was placed here fraudulently by this crew member to cover up a discriminatory act. I want his ID logged. Now see here." Julian stood up, spilling his champagne. "This is outrageous. I didn't do anything." Clear's throat. Marcus ignored him. He turned his back on the first-class cabin and began to walk. He walked past the lie-flat beds. He walked through the business-class curtain. He walked through premium economy. The passengers watched him, a man on a mission, radiating power and fury. He reached the heavy curtain separating the premium cabins from economy. He ripped it open. The economy cabin was waking up. It smelled of coffee and stale air. Marcus walked down the narrow aisle, scanning the row numbers. 40, 45, 50. He reached row 54. There she was. Flora was curled up in the middle seat, her head resting on the tray table. The baby next to her was awake now, cooing softly. Flora looked small, exhausted, and defeated. Marcus felt a crack in his heart. He reached out and gently touched her shoulder. Flora jumped, her eyes flying open. She blinked, disoriented. She looked up and saw her father standing in the aisle of a plane in London, looking like he had just kicked down the door of the world. "Dad," she whispered, her voice thick with sleep. "Am I dreaming?" "No, baby girl," Marcus said softly, his voice trembling slightly. "You're not dreaming. I told you I'd meet you at the gate. I decided to come a little closer." He extended his hand. "Come on, grab your bag." But the seatbelt sign, Flora murmured, looking at the confused passengers around her. "We can't move." Marcus looked around the cabin. He raised his voice so the surrounding rows could hear. "Everyone, I apologize for the delay," he announced. "My daughter was wrongfully forced out of her seat so the flight attendant could give it to her friend. We are rectifying that now." A ripple of shock went through the back of the plane. "Elena!" The mother with the baby gasped. "That witch did that to you?" she asked Flora. Flora nodded, standing up. She grabbed her backpack. She looked at Elena. "Good luck with the baby." Marcus looked at Elena. "Ma'am, do you have a connection to catch? No, just London," Elena said, or struck. "Good," Marcus said. "Grab your things. You and the baby are coming with us. You shouldn't have been back here next to the toilets with an infant anyway." "Sir," Elena asked, stunned. "My jet has plenty of room." "Clears throat," Marcus said. "Let's go." And so the procession began. Marcus Sterling, followed by his daughter in her hoodie, followed by a young mother carrying a baby, and a cat carrier, marched back up the aisle. It was a walk of triumph. By the time Marcus and his entourage reached the front galley, Donna Miller was practically catatonic. She was standing by the door, wringing her hands, tears streaming down her face. Jessica, the junior flight attendant, was standing in the corner, looking terrified. Marcus stopped in the galley. He motioned for Flora and Elena to wait by the door. He turned to Donna. "Did she scan green?" Marcus asked quietly. Donna couldn't speak. She just nodded a jerky, frantic motion. "She scanned green," Marcus repeated. "The machine told you she belonged. The ticket told you she belonged, but you looked at her. My daughter, an honors student at Columbia, a girl who has spent her weekends volunteering, and you decided she didn't look like she belonged." I was trying to protect the cabin." Donna, Clear's throat, whispered. I thought you were the gatekeeper," Marcus said, cold as ice. "But you forgot who built the gate." He pulled a phone from his pocket. He didn't dial a number. He opened an app. It was the fleet management interface for Sterling Aviation. Donna Miller. Marcus read from her name tag. Employee ID. Donna didn't answer. Marcus looked at Jessica. "What is her employee ID RA4922? Jessica squeaked instantly. Marcus typed it in. "I am revoking your security clearance for all Sterling Aviation leased aircraft," Marcus said, tapping the screen. "Effective immediately. Since Sterling leases 60% of Royal Atlantic's long-haul fleet and 100% of their 77s, you are now legally prohibited from stepping foot on any of these planes as crew." Donna's eyes went wide. You can't do that. The union, Clear's throat. "Union protects employees," Marcus said. "It doesn't protect liabilities who commit fraud. You marked my daughter's ticket as fraudulent in the system to resell the seat. That is a falsification of federal flight records. I'm pressing charges for that tour." Musu 2. He turned to the British police officers. "Officers, I would like to file a formal complaint against this woman for theft of service and harassment of a minor. I want her removed from my aircraft immediately." "Yes, Mr. Sterling," the taller officer said. He stepped forward. "Ms. Miller, please grab your personal effects. You need to come with us." "But the passengers," Donna cried, looking at the first-class cabin. "I have to debark the passengers." "You are no longer crew," Marcus said. You are a trespasser. Donna looked at Julian Vance, hoping for support. Julian was busy furiously deleting emails on his phone, refusing to make eye contact. He knew a sinking ship when he saw one. Donna grabbed her purse, her hands shaking so badly she dropped her lipstick. It rolled across the floor and stopped at Flora's beat-up sneakers. Flora looked down at the lipstick. Then she looked up at Donna. She didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She just looked disappointed. "I just wanted to see my dad," Flora said softly. "You made this happen, not me." The police escorted Donna onto the mobile stairs. The cold London wind whipped her hair across her face, stripping away the last of her perfectly groomed facade. She was led down the stairs not as the Queen of the Sky, but as a suspect in a custody chain. Marcus turned to the captain who had emerged from the cockpit and was watching the scene with a pale face. Captain Marcus said, "I apologize for the disruption to your schedule. My team will handle the fines from the airport authority. You are cleared to tow into the gate as soon as my party is off." "Understood, Mr. Sterling?" the Clear's throat captain said, respectful and terrified. "And apologies to your daughter. This doesn't represent all of us." "I know," Marcus said. He looked at Jessica, the young flight attendant. You tried to tell her, didn't you?" Jessica nodded, tears in her eyes. "I did. I told her the scan was green. I'm so sorry I didn't stop her." Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "When you get fired for this, because they will fire the whole crew to save face call this number. I need cabin staff for my private fleet. People who know how to read a green light." Jessica's jaw dropped. "Thank you." "Thank you, sir." Marcus turned to Flora and Elena. "Shall we?" They walked out of the Boeing 77 down the stairs and onto the tarmac. The Gulfstream was waiting its engines already spooling up for the short taxi to the private terminal. As they walked, Flora leaned into her dad. "You blocked the runway with a jet. Isn't that illegal?" Marcus put his arm around her. "It's a grey area, but for you, I'd block the sun." He looked back at the 777 one last time. Besides, Marcus smiled grimly. "The real show is going to be on the news tonight. I already called CNN." The karma wasn't over. It was just beginning. The viral video was about to drop. The fallout wasn't immediate. It was a slow, suffocating burn that turned into an inferno. 3 days after the incident at Heathrow, Donna Miller was sitting in a small, sterile office in Hounslow, just outside the airport perimeter. It was the headquarters of the Flight Attendants Union. She was confident. She had spun a story. In her version, Flora had been disruptive. The father had been a security threat who breached the tarmac, and Donna was the victim of a billionaire's tantrum. He blocked a taxiway. Donna argued to her union rep, a tired man named Gary. "That's terrorism, isn't it? I followed protocol. I profiled a passenger based on suspicious behavior. That hoodie, the headphones. She looked like a drug mule." Gary sighed, sliding a tablet across the desk. "Donna, stop. Stop what I want to sue for wrongful termination." "You don't have a case," Gary said, tapping the screen. Because of this, he pressed play. It was a video. It had been filmed by the passenger in 2A, the tech CEO. The angle was perfect. It showed the entire interaction at the gate in JFK. It showed Flora presenting her phone. It showed the green light reflecting off Donna's face, and it captured the audio crystal clear. I know what people who sit in that seat look like. They don't look like this. The video cut to the scene on the plane. Marcus Sterling standing in the galley, radiating power. The police escorting Donna off. "It has 22 million views on TikTok," Gary said quietly. "The hashtag Seat1A is trending worldwide. Oprah just tweeted about it." Donna stared at the screen, her mouth dry. "But privacy laws, there is no privacy in public spaces," Gary said. "Royal Atlantic has already issued a statement. They are distancing themselves from you completely. They called your behavior antithetical to our core values. They aren't just firing you, Donna. They are suing you for the reputational damage." "Suing me?" Donna shrieked. "I have a pension. I have 25 years gone," Gary said. "There's a clause in your contract about gross misconduct causing brand damage. You lost your pension the moment you called a billionaire's daughter riffraff on camera. You're done, Donna. You'll never fly again. Not even for a cargo airline. Donna walked out of the office into the grey London rain. Her phone was buzzing incessantly hateful messages, reporters asking for comments, friends blocking her. She had spent her life judging people from her pedestal in the sky. Now the ground had opened up and swallowed her whole. But the karma didn't stop with Donna. Julian Vance, the man who had happily taken the stolen seat, walked into his hedge fund office in Connecticut on Monday morning. The atmosphere was icy. His boss was waiting in the glass-walled conference room. "Julian," the boss said, not offering a seat. "We manage the pension funds for the Teachers Union of New York, a very diverse group of people." "I know that," Julian said, loosening his tie. "Look, if this is about that flight, it is," the boss interrupted. "We received a call from Marcus Sterling's legal team this morning. He is withdrawing his personal assets from our fund. That's $400 million, Julian. He said he doesn't trust his money with a firm that employs thieves of service." Julian polled. "I didn't steal anything. The flight attendant gave me the seat." "And you took it," the boss said. "You watched a teenager get marched to the back, and you drank her champagne. You're a liability. Pack your desk." The hard karma Marcus Sterling had promised was hitting with the precision of a laser-guided missile. Meanwhile, in a quiet townhouse in Kensington, London, a very different scene was unfolding. Flora was sitting at the kitchen island eating toast. Marcus was drinking coffee, reading the Financial Times. "You know," Flora said, scrolling through her phone. "Someone started a GoFundMe for Eleanor, the lady with the baby. It's up to $50,000. People want to buy her a year's supply of diapers." Marcus smiled. "That's good. She's a nice woman. I offered her a job in our London office, by the way. She starts Monday." Flora put her phone down. "Dad, you went too far, you know. Blocking the runway. You could have been arrested." Marcus put the paper down. He looked at his daughter. Smart, kind, and resilient. "Flora, there are two types of power in this world," Marcus said seriously. "There is the power Donna thought she had the power to exclude, to belittle, to gatekeep. That's weak power. It crumbles the moment someone stands up to it." He took a sip of coffee. "And then there is the power to protect, the power to change the rules when the rules are wrong. I didn't block that plane because I'm rich. I blocked it because I'm your father. And I wanted every single person on that flight and every person watching that video to know that you are not row 54. You are 1A always." Flora smiled, tears pricking her eyes. "Thanks, Dad. But next time, let's just fly commercial. I'll wear a suit." "Deal." Marcus laughed. "But keep the hoodie. It scares the snobs." The story of the flight attendant who demanded a black teen move didn't just end there. It became a case study in business schools. It became a warning during airline training. Donna Miller ended up working at a call center for a rental car company. Every time a customer yelled at her, she had to take it. She had no authority, no power, and no champagne. And Flora. She graduated top of her class at Columbia. She didn't go into aviation. She went into civil rights law. She spent her career fighting for people who had been told to move to the back, ensuring that no one ever again would be judged by the clothes on their back or the color of their skin. But every now and then, when she flew, she would glance at the first-class cabin. And if she saw someone who looked like they didn't belong, Clear's throat kid in a hoodie, a tired mom, an artist with blue hair, she would smile because she knew that sometimes the most powerful person on the plane isn't the one in the uniform. It's the one they never saw coming. This story is a brutal reminder that arrogance is the most accept in the world. Donna Miller thought her uniform gave her the right to judge, but she forgot that true status isn't about what you wear, it's about how you treat people. Marcus Sterling didn't just defend his daughter. He dismantled a system of prejudice with a single decisive act. The world is watching. And in the age of smartphones, karma doesn't wait for the next life. It arrives at the gate. Sometimes in a Gulfstream GFO0. If you enjoyed this story of massive instant justice, please hit the like button right now. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story about the underdogs winning. And tell me in the comments, have you ever been judged by how you looked? Let's talk about it below. Thanks for watching.